The perfume industry produces billions of units every year, surpassing $40 billion in sales. To meet this demand, large machines harvest tons of lavender flowers. But how does lavender oil become a high-quality fragrance? We visited the world capital of perfume to discover how the most expensive perfumes are made. The small town of Grasse in southern France has been the perfume capital since 1724. When big brands like Chanel want to launch a new fragrance, they come here. Creating a new scent is like mixing the perfect cocktail. The basic ingredients of perfume include essential oils derived from aromatic plants, fruits, and flowers, which are diluted with alcohol. These substances are very alcoholic, and like fine wines, perfumes are tested and blended as they evolve. In the past, perfumes contained substances like castor glands and whale secretions, but today, everything is a bit more refined. Lavender essence is one of the main ingredients in perfumes. For centuries, this incredible place in Provence has produced half of the world's lavender. The leaves and striking blue petals of this aromatic flowering shrub are used to make lavender oil, an ingredient in many health and beauty products. The plants cover hill after hill, forming a purple sea of fragrance. They may smell good, but harvesting them is not easy. Weeds like to grow at the base of lavender plants, stealing water and nutrients from the soil. So between May and September, removing these weeds is a vital daily task. The harvester lifts the lavender stems and shoots hot steam at the weeds around the base. To determine the right time to harvest, the producer looks at the number of flowers and their color, which should be bluish-purple, about to turn brown-gray. The producer also crushes a few petals to see how much oil comes out. Lavender begins to bloom in its second year, and the harvest at this farm takes place at the peak of the first flowering. There is a second flowering later, but it is not significant enough to justify another harvest. The problem is that the harvest only takes place over a few weeks, and the flowers must be cut early in the morning when they are most open and full of oil. The best way to do this is with a giant harvester. First, it straightens the lavender bushes, then oscillating blades cleanly cut the 15-centimeter stems. The harvester is specially designed to cut lavender like a hairstylist cutting hair. It lifts the stem straight and then cuts it near the base. The cut stems fall onto a conveyor belt that moves them to a tray, and then a screw conveyor sends them to the accompanying truck. This pile of stems smells wonderful, but turning them into an essence that can be bottled requires mastery. When the trailer is full, it takes its load to the distillery. Like making homemade alcohol from grain, pure lavender must be distilled to extract the best. Workers start distillation by placing tons of stems in a huge steel pot. The workers load the lavender into a still, a large stainless steel container usually used to produce liquors. They pack as much lavender as possible into the still to avoid air pockets. The less air, the higher the oil yield. Once the still is fully packed, they seal it tightly and turn on an oil boiler. The boiler heats the water to create steam, which is then injected at low pressure into the bottom of the still. Over about 15 minutes, the steam slowly rises to the top of the still, heating the lavender along the way. They continue with the steam for about another half hour, which bursts the glands located mostly in the petals, releasing the oil. The lavender sweats and releases oil, which mixes with the steam. The steam is collected in a large condensation pipe. Then the scented steam is cooled inside another bucket and reverts to liquid. To collect the extracted oil, cold water is introduced into an aluminum tube that runs through the still. When the hot steam hits that cold tube, it condenses back into water. Lavender oil is lighter than water, so it rises to the surface and is slowly extracted. It takes tons of fresh flowers to produce just 50 kilograms of oil. Lavender oil starts its life like homemade liquor, but to make the best perfume, it has to mature like a good malt whiskey, so it stays in these barrels for several months until it's ready. When it is mature enough to become perfume, the lavender oil will be combined with up to 5,000 other aromatic oils in the lab for the blending process. There are an infinite number of possible combinations, and noses distinguish the sublime from the unpleasant. Humans have about 10 square centimeters of smell receptors in their noses. A single perfume can have up to 50 ingredients. The smell of the concentrated oils alone would not reach even the closest nose, so to make a perfume that's the perfect attraction tool, strong alcohol is added. The alcohol evaporates at room temperature and spreads the scent around the room. That's why perfume should be applied where you can feel your pulse, like your wrist and neck. In these areas, blood vessels are closest to the skin, giving off more heat and acting like mini fragrance pumps. Among all this high-tech machinery, the perfumer's nose is the most important tool when formulating a new essence, and their experience is key to knowing what makes good or bad fragrances. Perfumers are experts in creating fragrances. These olfactory artists spend years training their sense of smell and can identify hundreds or even thousands of different scents. Samples are applied to testers, and the recipe is adjusted as needed. When the noses are satisfied, the recipe is sent to another perfume distillery for mass production. The distillery facilities cover more than 20,000 square meters. The production lines, filling lines, and maceration tanks with a capacity of 350,000 liters make up the factory. Before developing a perfume, the purity of the raw materials must be checked to ensure they are not adulterated or contaminated. The raw materials can cost up to $2,000 per kilo, so the manufacturer has to make sure they are authentic and top quality. The materials are checked using gas chromatography. The substance is vaporized in the machine and then passes through a liquid. The different components of the substance pass through the liquid at different speeds. The machine detects them as they pass and prints the results. The perfumer can see which components are present in the oil with an accuracy of 1 nanogram. They weigh different amounts of essential oils using scales with an accuracy of 1 milligram. The first step is called composition, which involves precisely weighing all the components to create a concentrate. The essential oils and fixatives, which help maintain the perfume's stability and durability on the skin, are poured. The concentrate is mixed with alcohol, left to mature, and once the scents have blended into the liquid, it is cooled and filtered to obtain a pure, clear, and intense perfume. A sample of the perfume is taken to the lab to test the density. The final product is measured with a specific volume in milliliters. During the formulation process, everything is weighed in grams because the manufacturer needs to know what weight of perfume will provide the required volume. The product is measured and weighed using laboratory scales. The perfume's density can be calculated from the weight to the volume of water. This ensures accuracy when filling the bottles. The glass bottles are made from silica sand, sodium carbonate, and limestone. The materials are mixed and heated to high temperatures in furnaces, melting into a viscous mass. The hot glass mass is poured into molds designed specifically to create the desired bottle shape. Once molded, the glass is slowly cooled to avoid breaking due to sudden temperature changes. Some bottles may undergo an additional tempering process, which involves controlled cooling to increase their strength. The cooled bottles go through cutting and polishing processes to remove burrs and sharp edges. They are decorated according to the perfume manufacturer's design and then sent to be filled with the fragrance. The resulting women's scent contains an incredible amount of 2/3 alcohol, but the men's mix is even stronger. The men's scent can have up to 95% alcohol. Afterward, the bottle is filled with perfume and sealed with a spray cap. Each bottle is batch-coded to provide traceability in case of future problems. They are packed, labeled, and wrapped in this factory. Everything is done by hand. The perfumes they create are specialized products for high-end markets.